Hello student, welcome to this class. As you all know that the prelims papers are over and so you need to work upon your mains answer writing sessions and you need to have a big change in your psychology and in your attitude so that you can prepare for your mains. So right now what we will do is we will pick a question from the past which has been asked by the UPSC. Okay, we'll see how these types of questions need to be tackled and what should be the approach when you are writing any answer for the mains. So let's start today's session. So this was the question. UPSC has asked that Indian federalism has moved from cooperative federalism to combative federalism. Okay, so what should be the approach? Since now you know the question, okay, the question has been asked from the UPSC. So the simple and the best technique is just to break the question. What we will do, we'll just break this question into small parts, and once we break this question into small parts, we are in a position to understand those simple parts, and then after that what we can do, we can connect those parts and we can frame our answers. So the first part is you should know what do you mean by Indian federalism, or I would like to say that what is the meaning and what is the concept of federalism should be known to you. Okay. After that, the second keyword is cooperative federalism. Okay. So that means once you know what do you mean by federalism, then the second important task is, do you know what is cooperative federalism? And after that, we need to understand what do you mean by combative federalism. Okay, so this will be our third box. Okay, so what I have done is I have broken this question. I have break this question into three small parts. First, Indian federalism. Second, cooperative federalism. And third one is combative federalism. Now we'll try to understand these terms, and after that we'll just be in a position to frame our answers for mains. Okay. So, what do you mean by federalism? So, I have told you this is going to be the first approach. In this class, we are going to understand what do you mean by federalism. After that, we will move to the second slot, that is, we'll also try to ensure that we are in a position to understand what is cooperative federalism and how this cooperative federalism is associated with the last leg of the question, that is combative federalism. So this is going to be the flow chart of this today's class. First we will understand federalism. What are the features of the federalism? Okay, how federalism is formed, and if we talk about India, how we can say that India is a federal country. Okay, so this is going to be the content of the today's class. After that, we will also try to decode what do you mean by cooperative federalism. What are the framework in the Indian Constitution through which we can say that yes, we have cooperative federalism in India. And at the last leg, we'll just understand what do you mean by cooperative federalism and how this cooperative federalism is turning into combative federalism, and what are the issues with them and what can be the conclusion. So first we'll try to understand what is federalism. If you look into the very simple and a very basic understanding of federalism, means it talks about a system, that means a form of a governance where you will see that there are two units to it. Okay, so when I'm saying that there are two units to it, we mean that federalism is basically a system of governance. System of governance, that means it is a way in which the people are to be governed. Okay, so what is the key point of this governance? You will see that there is a division in that. That means in that format of governance, you will see that there will be two stakeholders. That means in this system, there are two stakeholders. One, we can say that central government, or we can say that union government at center, and the second stakeholders can be the state. If we talk about Indian example, if we take India as an example, we'll see that we have a union government and we have state government. So what does federalism tell us, or what do you mean, or what do you understand by federalism is federalism is basically a system of governance where you will see that there is going to be a power sharing between the two units or two stakeholders. First stakeholders can be called, or they will be known as union government or central government, and the second authority will be known as state government. So now I think we are in a position to understand what do you mean by federalism, and so we'll move on to the next leg. Okay, so once we say, or once we claim that we have understood federalism, so we need to understand what are the features which are associated with federalism. Suppose if we know these features, then we can at least analyze, or we can say that yes, these are the feature of any federal system. Okay, so first is, you will see that there will be governance at more than two levels. That means we have already understood there is going to be power sharing. If we mean that there has to be division of power, this power need to be shared. Okay, and this sharing of power will be at minimum two levels. As we have taken India as an example, we have union government and simultaneously we have state government. So that is one of the key feature of any federal system. Okay, second is the different tier of government govern the same citizens. So again, if we take India as a reference point, we will see that if government of India, that is union government, if they are making any rules, regulations, that is for whom? That is the citizen of India. Okay, citizen of India. At the same time, suppose that the government of Uttar Pradesh or any government of UP, I am taking as an example, government of Uttar Pradesh, if they are also making any law or any policy, again that will be for the people of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, people of Uttar Pradesh, you will see that we know that this people of Uttar Pradesh, that means the population of UP is a very essential part of the population of this entire country. So we can conclude that both the government, that is the union government or it is the state government, when they are making any kind of rules, regulations, policies, these policies are being implemented on the same citizens. Okay, but what is the difference? We'll see that the difference will be in terms of jurisdiction. Okay, jurisdiction, that means suppose when the government of India is making any law, so that means it will be applicable throughout the territory of India. So that is the jurisdiction. Okay, but whenever the government of Uttar Pradesh, they are making any kind of rules, policies, that will be only applicable throughout the territory or the geographical boundary of Uttar Pradesh. So this is the difference. Okay, both the government, that is union government and the state government, when they are making any kind of rules, regulations or policy, so when the central government is making any rules and policy, it will be applicable throughout the territory of India. But when the state governments are making any rules, policies, it will be local in nature. It will be restricted to the geographical boundary of that state. So that is the meaning. Okay. Now we'll move to the next feature of federalism. The third feature of federalism is the jurisdiction, which we were discussing right now. It has to be mentioned somewhere. Suppose if I am telling you the government of Uttar Pradesh, they are making any law and that will be applicable throughout the territory. So this particular set of rule has to be written down somewhere. So where we will find that? It is the Constitution. Okay. So when you will look into the Constitution, you will see that very specifically it has been mentioned that what is going to be the jurisdiction of the government. That means when we are talking about the jurisdiction and when we look into the Constitution or when we refer to the Constitution, okay, what we will refer? We will refer to the Constitution, and the Constitution will give us the guidance, or the guidance will be provided by the Constitution of India. Yes, this is the union list. That means where this guidance is there, if you look into the schedule 7, when we refer to schedule 7, we find that there are 3 lists. Union list. What do you mean by union list? That means over the topics of union list, the central government is empowered to make rules and regulation, and when they are making rules and regulation, it will be applicable throughout the territory of India. So that means we got to know about the third point. If you need to understand where it has been defined, what is the source, so Constitution would be the source. Okay. Fourth point, the fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be unilaterally changed. Okay, that means we are talking about the Constitution. Okay, so we know that with passage of time, as the society progresses, sometimes we feel need there has to be some amendment. Okay, and when we are incorporating those amendments, what we need to do is we need to incorporate those amendment according to the needs of the society, according to the need of the hour. So when we are making any fundamental change in the Constitution, it cannot be done unilaterally. That means it cannot be single-handedly done by the central government or the union government. What we know, we need to have the consent of the second stakeholder, that is the state governments also. So that is again a very key point or a very, very defining moment for the features of federalism. If any change has to be brought into the Constitution, both the stakeholders, that means the union government and the state government, they will talk with each other, they will come on the dais, and according to the consent, then the necessary change will be incorporated. Okay, so that is again a very, very key factor or key point for Indian federalism or federal system. Okay, now we'll talk about the fifth and the again a very important point. Suppose that, okay, what has happened is some action has been done. Okay, some decision has been taken by the government, whether it is union government or the state government, and certain amount of dispute arises. Okay, so who is going to settle that dispute? So as a key point to the federal system, we'll see that the courts have the power to interpret the Constitution. Suppose if there is a situation where the provision of the Constitutions are not clear, there is ambiguity, there are more than 2 meanings, in such situation the courts will come into picture and they will interpret the Constitution. Okay, and we can say that when you are seeing the judiciary, when the judiciary is interpreting the courts, or when the courts are interpreting the Constitution of this country, we see, or we can say that they are acting like as an umpire. Okay, as we know that in sports, in different kinds of sports, we do have umpires. So what is the responsibility of these umpires? They observe that the players are playing that respective game according to the rules and regulations which have been defined. Okay, that is the simple role. In the same way, when we compare our judiciary or the courts, the same role is being played by the judiciary also. Okay, now next is we have talked about the government, we are talking about union government, we are talking about the state government. Now the very important question comes is what is going to be the source of revenue? That is, what is going to be the source of revenue for union government and what is going to be the source of revenue for the state government. So this source of revenue for each government, that is the union government and the state government, is very clearly specified, okay, in the Constitution. Why it is very clearly specified in this Constitution? So that they have this financial autonomy, that is, no one is dependent on anyone. That means the Constitution of India, if we take India as a reference point, again for this point I will say that the Constitution has empowered the union government. They have this right and they can impose tax and they can collect that tax. Okay, so that will be the source of revenue for the union government. On the same side, the same Constitution has also empowered the state government. You also have certain amount of area where you have this right, where you can impose certain taxes. Through those taxes you can generate your revenue. So this is very, very important. Source of revenue for both state and central government is very clearly and very specifically mentioned in the constitution, and why it is very clearly mentioned, so that no one, that is the state government or the union government, have any kind of financial burden, or they have that dependency. So to ensure financial autonomy, that is again a very key feature. Okay. Next point is the federal system has dual objective. That means कि basically this governance model, it has two inbuilt objectives. First objective is to safeguard and protect the unity of the country. That means कि once you are united, okay, once you are united, all your resources are there, you can very efficiently maintain your unity. Okay, that means the unity of the country can be safeguarded in a better manner. Okay, the same thing is there. And the second point is ki at the same time you can also create a space where you will adjust all sorts of diversity which is existing. We know that ki India is a country which is full of diversity. So in such kind of a situation, a federal system is most appropriate form of system. Why? Because it gives us the space where we can accommodate all sorts of diversity which is existing in our country. So that is the important point. Okay. Now, once we have understood that, what do you mean by federalism? Okay, what are the key features of the federalism? I am very sure that this question must be arising in your mind. You must be confused, or you must be having this kind of a tendency sir, how this federalism is formed. Okay, so for this question we have two replies. Okay, the federalism, first, this federalism can be formed when the states, they are coming together. Okay, that means the stakeholders, where they are coming together, and when they are coming together, what they do is they form a bigger union. Okay, so that is one of the what we can say a format in which a federalism can result. Okay, so where the states are coming together, okay, and they are forming a bigger unit. Okay, so when these states are coming, so in that situation they are coming with their own intention. That means they are not being pushed. So the states are coming together and they are motivated by themselves, and when they are coming together, they are forming a bigger unit. Okay, that is one of the format, or this is one of the way in which a federalism can be formed. Okay, so when the states are coming together, what will happen? They will come along with their resources. Okay, so what will happen? Pooling of sovereignty has to be then. Okay, and retaining the identity, they can increase their security. Okay, so this is one of the way or the format in which a federalism can be formed. Okay, so what is the examples? If we look about how we can look about the examples of this particular type, so we will have USA, that is United States of America, Switzerland and Australia are the example of this particular way of forming a federalism. That is what we call as coming together. Coming together means when the states are coming together and they are having the intention to form a bigger, what you can say, unit. So example is America, Switzerland and Australia. Okay, so the alternate or the second way or the second what you can say type in which this federalism can be formed is where a large country decide, okay, what we will do, we will have two different units of governance. Okay, that means we will have a union government and we will have state government. So this is what we call as a holding together principle. Okay, what are the example? India, Spain and Belgium are the example of this particular format where they have resulted or they have formed the federalism. Okay, so this is the second way in which you form a federalism. Okay, now the question arises, if someone asks you, okay, suppose you have encountered a question where someone has raised this doubt, what makes India a federal country? So what should be your reply? Think for a while. Suppose someone has asked you, gentlemen, can you please give me a reply how and why you will say that yes, India is a federal country. So what should be your reply? Ideally, what are the evidences, or I will say that what are those points on which you need to fall back so that you can say yes, India is a federal country. Okay, so ideally what you should say, or how you should reply is yes, Indian Union is based on the principle of federalism. Okay, and what are those principles? First, you will see that if we refer to the Indian Constitution, okay, so the Indian Constitution, it provides for two-tier system. Okay, two-tier system is a government at national level and simultaneously a government at state level. Okay, but with what you can say, later on an amendment was done, and now what we do is now we have a three-tier system. That means at a union level we have a government, at state level we have government, okay, and now at our grassroots level, that is the village level, we also have a model of governance that is called as local governance. That is, in urban areas you will have municipalities, and in rural areas you will have panchayati system. Okay, so I am talking about the 73rd amendment. Okay, 73rd and 74th amendment, which was brought into Indian Constitution, and through which we have inserted this third type of governance. Okay, so what you can say, this is one of the reason why we'll say that yes, India is a federal country. Okay, we'll say again, when we were discussing about the concept of federalism, what we have made as a statement, in federal system you will see that all the units enjoy separate jurisdiction. I have quoted this line, I have informed you. In federalism you will see that the stakeholders, okay, in federal system, what I have told you, in federal system generally division of power will be there, and you will have stakeholders. That means stakeholders can be union government and can be state governments. Okay, so when we look into the Indian Constitution, again what we see is there is schedule 7. Schedule 7, it clearly states we have a union list, okay, and the topics which are mentioned in this union list, the government of India, that is the central government, has the authority to make rules and regulations over those topics. After that we have concurrent list, okay, and after that we have a state list. So state list, what is there, state are empowered, the state governments are empowered to make rules and regulations on these state list. But when we talk about the concurrent list, both union government and the state government both are empowered to make laws on these topics. Okay, but suppose if there is any kind of controversy, okay, in such a circumstance or in such a situation, what will happen, the union law shall prevail. Okay, so if the state government have selected any topic from the concurrent list and they have made any law, and we are just hypothetically we are assuming that on that particular portion or on that particular point the state government have also made a law. Okay, so if both laws are compatible with each other, there is no issue. Suppose if they are not compatible, okay, whatever the law has been made by the union government and whatever law has been made by the state government, if they are not compatible, that means they don't go hand in hand. In such a situation, what will happen, the union law shall prevail. Okay, so this we know. So again, that is the what you can say reference point. You can say that this is the evidence where we can say that yes, India is a federal system. We have talked about the state list, okay, and the concurrent list. Okay, so suppose we were talking about the list, okay, but there can also be a situation where a topic is not covered in either of the list. That means a situation is there which is not covered either in the union list, or it is not covered in the state list also, it is not mentioned in concurrent list. So how that area need to be tackled? Who is going to make rules and regulation for that area? So again we will take an example. Suppose we talk about the computer related software areas. Okay, So we have made this constitution. This constitution was implemented in 1950s. Okay. At that point of time, this computer software were not an issue. But today we know the importance and significance of computer software. So it is nowhere governed. It is nowhere mentioned. So how this particular area need to be regulated? So we say these are residuary subjects. That means any topic which has not been mentioned in union list or either in concurrent list or the state list. That means anything which is outside these lists. So we term them as what you can say residuary subjects. And over these residuary subjects, what we see is the union government has the power. That means now here when we check the intentions of the constitution makers, so we get to know that when the constitution makers were making this constitution, they wanted that there should be a strong central government, and that is the reason why they have empowered the union government they can legislate on any residuary subject matter. Okay, so that is there. Now we'll come to the second leg of the question. Now we are in a position to understand what is federalism, what are the features of federalism. Okay, and suppose if someone asks you what are the evidence or how you can say that yes, India is also a federal country, so you have the sufficient what you can say understanding about the topic. Now the second leg of the question was talking about the cooperative federalism. So we need to ensure we are in a position to understand what this term means. Cooperative federalism. This term need to be encoded. Cooperative federalism, if we talk about the term cooperative, we can very easily understand cooperation means when you are supporting each other. Okay, supporting in each other. So in terms of polity, we know that in federalism there are two stakeholders, that is the union government and the stakeholders. When these two units, that is these stakeholders, cooperate among themselves for the governance, so that is what we call as cooperative federalism. So cooperative federalism can be defined as where the two stakeholders, where the state government or the union government, they cooperate with each other. Okay, and how they are cooperating with the provisions, the powers, the responsibilities which has been shared to them. Okay, so that is the way how you define cooperative federalism. I will just quote one of the observation of a constitution expert, that is MP Jain. He is of the opinion that in cooperative federalism, the governments are not interdependent. Okay, that means and not independent. So that means in cooperative federalism, what we see is where the stakeholders are supporting each other. They are providing what you can say necessary support to each other, so that both the state and the union government can deliver the responsibilities which has been assigned to them through the constitution. That is the way and the manner in which you define cooperative federalism. Okay. Now, what are those points? If we take about this question, whether in Indian constitution we find any symptom of cooperative federalism. So yes, we can say there are various points which clearly directs this. Yes, these are the points which points out toward the cooperative federalism, and the first one is Article 1 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, when you read Article 1 of the Indian Constitution, it clearly says that India is going to be a union of state. That means union of state means where when we are talking about the stakeholders, so different states will come and they will form, or this by the virtue of these states, this Indian Union has existed. Okay, so that is a very key point for cooperative federalism. We can conclude that yes, Article 1 is a clear cut what you can say reference point for cooperative federalism. Okay, similarly, when you read Article 245 of the Indian Constitution, again it says that the legislative power in the parliament to make law for the country and the state legislature to make law for their respective states. So that means the article 245 of the Indian Constitution, it clearly demarcates the jurisdiction of the first stakeholder, that is the union government, and the second stakeholder, that is the state government, ki whenever you are making any rules and regulation, so when the central government will make, it will be for entire country. When the state government will make any rules and regulation, it will have a local effect. That means it will be limited to that particular state. So that is again a key point for cooperative federalism. Third example, what we can say is Article 246. Okay, so when you read Article 246, you should also consult 7th schedule also. So that means ki when we are reading Article 246 along with 7th schedule, we get to know about the list which I have already discussed in this class, ki there are union list, state list and concurrent list. Okay. Now we'll switch to next point, that is Article 261. Okay. So when you read Article 261, it says that ki full faith and credit to public acts, records and judicial proceedings of the union and the state, and it should promote cooperation and faith. Again, Article 246, the objective is to promote cooperation and faith among the states, that is the union government and the state government. Okay. Similarly, Article 262 also says that the parliament to adjudicate interstate water disputes. That means ki we know that there are various resources in this country. Okay, so if we take water as a resource, we know that this is a very crucial resource. Okay, and each and every state will have that requirement. Okay, and for that they can have difference of opinion, or there can be a situation where there can be dispute also. In such a situation, Article 262 says that the parliament will provide how this interstate water disputes are to be handled. Okay, so that is the again a example of cooperative federalism. Okay, similarly, Article 263, when you read Article 263, it speaks about the establishment of interstate councils. So Article 263 says that we should have interstate council. Again, what is the intention, why we need to have such kind of setup, why we need interstate councils? So that all the states can come up and they can sit together and they can discuss, they can give an idea how an problem can be tackled. Okay, how we can progress in a very positive manner. Okay, so again this is a classical example or evidence you will say that yes, Indian Constitution has inbuilt mechanism of cooperative federalism. Okay, again Article 80, it speaks about Council of States. Okay, in Council of State, what will happen? Again, the states are going to be the representatives. Okay, again a key area where you will find or you can sense that cooperative federalism is inbuilt over here. Again, Article 54 we talk about, it talks about the representation of the state in the presidential elections. Okay, so when we talk about the presidential election, we see the in that election the representation of the state is also inherent. Okay, so again it gives us the example of cooperative federalism. Okay, Article 312, okay, that is all India services. These all India services are common to both union and state. Okay, again if we talk about the judicial system, we have an integrated judicial system, that is lower court, higher court and Supreme Court. So all these features, we can conclude that these are the features which very clearly mentions toward cooperative federalism. Okay, so now we will try to understand what do you mean by combative federalism. Combative federalism means where you are acting against this principle of federalism. Combat means where you are in war, where you are in what you call some kind of disagreement. Okay, so this term combative federalism was first time used by the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. Okay, when the government of Uttarakhand was dismissed because of Article 356. Okay, the central government, they have used Article 356 and they have dismissed, or the government of Uttarakhand was dismissed. So in that situation, the chief minister has used this term cooperative, or that is combative federalism. Okay, so that was the reference point. Okay, so we'll again take the instances in the past through which we'll see that that combative federalism is coming into picture. Okay, so very important, the office of governor. Okay, it has already allegated, there are so many allegations on governments, that is the union government, ki they misuse the office of governor. Okay, so in 2016 also, okay, the governor of Arunachal Pradesh, what he has done is he decided to advance the assembly elections. Okay, that means due to the political situation in Arunachal Pradesh, the governor decided that ki what we should do is ki we should prepone the election. Okay, and for that what he has done is president rule was imposed on the state. Okay, in such a situation, Supreme Court has intervened. Okay, and in that intervention, Supreme Court held that the governor's discretion did not extend to the power of conferring Article 174. Okay, so again that is a reference point. Okay, where we can say that this ideals of federalism are not taken into account. That means these two stakeholders, that is the state government and the union government, they are not, what you can say, using these principles. Okay, they are not supporting each other. Okay, that is one of the reference point. Similarly, in Goa, Karnataka and Maharashtra, the governors, again the office of governor is very, very crucial. Okay, so they have acted beyond their constitutional directions. Okay, okay, so this is the allegations, or these are the reference point where we are saying that that cooperative federalism is eroding, and in place of that cooperative federalism, combative federalism is taking its space. Okay, similarly in Rajasthan also, the governor refused to summon a session which was desired by the council of the ministers. Okay, again that is the example of combative federalism. Okay, and the very highlighted portion, that is the dispute between the central government and the Delhi government. Okay, actually who controls this national capital territory of Delhi. Okay, this is the reference point. Okay, in addition to this reference point, we have again a second layer, there is a now growing dispute over the control over all India services. That means we will take a reference point. Okay, where the chief secretary, that means chief secretary to West Bengal government, he was summoned to Delhi. That the Delhi government has called the chief secretary of West Bengal government, he should come and he should visit Delhi. Okay, and why he was called? Because the prime minister has visited West Bengal, and because the cyclone Yas, which has caused disruption in West Bengal. Okay, now the chief minister of West Bengal, she was not happy why this demand has been made from the union government. Okay, similarly, there has been an amendment in Indian Administrative Services Cadre Act, okay, rules of 1954. Okay, now this amendment has been opposed by various states, that is the state of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Telangana. They have opposed the amendment which has been made in this All India or Indian Administrative Services Cadre rules of 1954. Okay, so again that is a reference point. Okay, now third point is the deployment of central investigating agencies, that is CBI, ED, NIA. Nowadays these agencies are very, very famous, these are very, very known to us. Okay, so what has happened is the union government, okay, they are using these central investigating agencies. Okay, and because of that, now we see a tussle between the center and the state. There is a, what you can say, lack of confidence, there is a lack of trust between the union government and the state government over the manner in which these central investigating agencies are being used. Okay, so again that is one of the, what you can say, reference point. Okay, recently you will see that what has happened in West Bengal and Maharashtra. Okay, how the government has been destabilized over there, how a new government has formed. So these are the areas, or these are the reference point for the combative federalism. Okay, so now we understand what is federalism. We know what do you mean by cooperative federalism, and what are the instances of combative federalism in India. Okay, so we'll now try to understand what is the opinion of judiciary, what is the opinion which has been set by the Indian judicial system, or that means high courts or the Supreme Court. So first we'll try to analyze the case of government of NCT of Delhi versus union government. That is in 2018. This case was there before the Honorable Supreme Court. Okay, and in this particular case, the Supreme Court has held that the idea of cooperative federalism, the Supreme Court has used the term collaborative federalism. Okay, collaborative federalism is where you are coming together with your resources and you are progressing in a right path, that is in the positive way. Okay, so the Supreme Court has held that this idea of collaborative or cooperative federalism is negotiation and coordination, so that the differences that may arise between the center and the state can be resolved. So that means the Supreme Court has given this judgment where they are saying that the concept, if we talk about the concept of combative, or what you can say collaborative and cooperative federalism, is where you are coming together, you are sitting with your resources, and when you are sitting with your resources, the intention is to progress in the right path in a positive way. So that is need to be done. Okay, similarly in Ajit Mohan versus Legislative Assembly of National Capital Territory of Delhi, that is 2021, again the Supreme Court has suggested that for the system to work well, both the central government and the state government should work hand in hand. That means if we really care about the system, you should come together and you should join hands. You should not always oppose each other. That was the suggestion which was given by the Supreme Court in this case law. Okay, so how we can conclude? What should be the conclusion? Now we know what is federalism, what is cooperative federalism, what is combative federalism, how you are going to conclude your answer. So at the end of the answer, you will say, or you can refer that the Indian Constitution makers, okay, they have already incorporated those points which are classical example of cooperative federalism. That means when you read the Indian Constitution, you find various examples, you find various reference point where you can say that the cooperative federalism is inbuilt in Indian Constitution. Okay, so the Constitution makers had this kind of intention. Okay, and now what is expected out of the stakeholders, that is the state government and the state governments. Okay, they should not have the idea or the intention to encroach upon the jurisdiction of each other. Rather than that, what they should do is they should respect each other's, what you can say, sovereignty. They should respect each other's power which has been entrusted to them by the Constitution. And when they do so, then we can say that yes, we are working and we are progressing in a very what you can say positive direction. Okay, so that should be the conclusion. On this remark, I will just rest my class. Thank you so much.